One of the most important things in COD Zombies are wall weapons. These wall weapons are what allow you to get from your starting weapon to hitting the mystery box. And in my last video, we went over the best wall weapons from each COD Zombies title, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the worst wall weapons from each COD Zombies game. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into this. Starting off on World at War, if you've ever played this game even a couple times and purchased any of the wall weapons, you already know World at War has a ton of terrible wall weapons. Just to name a few, we have the Kar 98K, which is great for getting headshots, but after round 5, you are lucky to get any kills. The Gewehr 43, which is actually a pretty solid weapon, especially for the early game because it has a ton of ammo, but if you're planning on using this thing in the later game, don't even bother. The Arasaka Sniper, which is only available on Shinonuma, is pretty much the Kar 98K, and once again, it's good for headshots and the early game, but I would recommend ditching this thing as soon as possible. But before I tell you what the worst wall weapon is in World at War, an honorable, or I guess a dishonorable mention for this video is the bar. Now, the bar is a decently solid weapon, but on Verrucht, it costs 2,500 points. If I was playing Verrucht for the first time and purchased the bar, I would be so mad because 2,500 points can be spent so much better, and the bar is just so lackluster. But for the worst wall weapon in World at War, it has to go to the Springfield. This thing just does terrible damage, it rechambers so slowly, it reloads even slower, the iron sight is terrible, and by round 3, this thing is a 4-hit to the body. You are almost better off just knifing the zombies, and that's not even a joke. Now, moving on over to Black Ops 1, I have said this probably 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 times more. All the guns in this game, wall weapon or box weapons, are really bad. I mean, there's a couple few that, will get you past round 20, especially with, double tap and pack-a-punch, but most of the weapons are just terrible. Starting off for Black Ops 1 wall weapons, we have the MPL. Now, personally, I actually love this gun, but if you look past it being a great points weapon, you'll kind of see its flaws. It has a really small magazine size and only comes with 120 bullets in reserve. And it does subpar damage, but Pack-a-Punch, it gets a decent amount of ammo, a bigger magazine, and a reticle. But compared to some other wall weapons like the ARs, and especially the box weapons, this thing is not that great. Hence why it is one of the best point weapons in the game. But if the MPL is not that great, the PM63 is even worse. With a 20 round mag and 100 rounds in reserve, this thing just sucks. If you're planning on using this thing probably past round 7, you're gonna end up buying ammo probably 5 times before you end the round. This thing just burns ammo. But when you pack punch the PM63, it's one of the few akimbo weapons in COD Zombies, which is really cool, and actually it has a really awesome pack punch name. But unfortunately, with these akimbo SMGs, you just burn ammo, they hardly do any damage, and since they're akimbo, it's not easy to get headshots. And I think honestly, the only time I've ever used the PM63 is when I'm making videos like these. You're better off buying the MPL, saving your money for the MP5K, or just hitting the box. Now with Black Ops 2 wall weapons, they are definitely a step up from BO1. But the best way to describe BO2 wall weapons, for the most part, is that they are average. Now, for the worst wall weapons I've selected for this video, they're not actually terrible guns, they just fall a little bit below the other options. For example, we have the Remington 870. This is a pretty decent shotgun. It doesn't do great damage on the lower rounds, but it's still a viable option. But once you pack punch this thing, it becomes pretty usable, I'd say up until probably round 20 or 25. But compared to the likes of, the Tommy gun, the SVU, the AN94, I mean, hell, even the AK-74U, MP40, the Remington just isn't that great of an investment. Another one of these weapons that falls into this class is the B23R. Now, personally, I absolutely love this weapon. I find myself buying it pretty much any time I can when I play BO2 Zombies. It is an excellent early game weapon. It has decent amount of ammo. It's a 3-round burst, it does good damage, but once you get past round 10-15, even with a pack-a-punch, this thing definitely falls off. And similar to the Remington, there are much better investments that you can make if you're looking for a wall weapon. But hands down, the worst wall weapon in Black Ops 2 has to go to the Ballista, and thank God this was only on Origins. The only time this thing is useful is probably up until round 3. Past that, you're asking for trouble. The only redeeming quality that this gun has is the amount of ammo that they give you, and I think they realize this thing needs a bunch of ammo because past round 5, it takes so many shots to kill the zombies. But another redeeming quality this thing has is once you pack-a-punch it, it's actually a pretty good weapon, I'm not even going to lie to you. It does solid damage, it has a crap load of ammo in reserve, it's good for taking out the panzers, and it gets a pretty good ACOG sight. But like I said earlier, a lot of the BO2 weapons are just average. Moving on over to AWXO Zombies, like I said in the best wall weapons video, all the guns in this game are terrible. And since we're talking about the worst ones, the AW wall weapons have their time to shine. Firstly, the AMR9 is a decent early game weapon. I'm using the term decent very lightly, because past round 5, this thing is just garbage. It gets a decent amount of ammo, and it's this weird 5-round burst, so trying to aim and trying to kill a bunch of zombies, it just ends up being this weird kind of weapon. I mean, it's okay for points, but past round 10, it is just junk. And for this video, the AW weapons pack-a-punched, I am putting them to a pack level 5, which is unfortunately 10,000 points of upgrades, and the weapon is still terrible. It is just horrible. And this is the same thing for the ARX 160. This is a really high mobility AR. It shoots 3-round burst incredibly fast. It also has this really fast reload for some reason, but the same thing with the AMR9, it is just trash, and even upgraded, it still can't kill anything. But hands down, the worst wall weapon in Advanced Warfare has to go to the Bulldog. Unpack-a-punch, this thing is useless past round 3, and that's not even an exaggeration. This thing is complete trash. Also, it has this 4-round mag, so you are constantly reloading this thing. And I don't know why, but the reload animation and the reload time combined with the exosuit, it'll just completely cancel the reload and you have to restart this super annoying reload again. This thing is just terrible. And with a pack 5 on this thing, you don't get more ammo, you don't get a bigger mag, you probably have to sink another 20 grand into this thing for it to be somewhat decent. It is just god awful. If you're looking for a cheap weapon at the start of the game, sure, buy it, but honestly, just avoid this gun at all costs. Now, like I said with the best wall weapons video, with BO3, all of the wall weapons just they're just good. Like, they're solid weapons, especially with the AATs, but we are not going to include those because those are just ridiculously overpowered and it would not make sense to talk about them. But starting off, we have the LCAR-9. The forgotten little brother of the RK5. Now, the LCAR-9 is not a bad weapon. It gets a ton of ammo in reserve, it's fully automatic with a 20-round magazine, yeah, it has a little bit of recoil, but for the early game, if you don't buy the RK5, or for some reason don't like the RK5 if you're a psychopath, the LCAR-9 is a solid option. When you pack-a-punch it, you get a little bit more ammo, but you get this 40-round mag. But yes, the recoil is still there, but honestly, still a decent weapon. But compared to the other options available, it's not really worth your time past the first couple rounds. But hands down, the worst wall weapon in BO3 has to be the Pharaoh. This is this weird little burst SMG. The Pharaoh gets a big magazine with a decent amount of ammo in its reserve, but with its recoil, the burst, its lack of damage, this thing is just weird to use. And when you pack-a-punch it, it doesn't get any better besides you get more ammo. But hands down, the Black Ops 3 Pharaoh probably has the most fitting pack name I have ever seen on a weapon, because once you pack this thing, it becomes the Whispering Regurgitator. Like, what does that even mean, bro? I don't even know. This gun is terrible. It's the worst one in BO3. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Moving on. Guys, really quickly, I'm on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so dropping a sub helps out a ton. And let me know down below what your least favorite wall weapon is. Let's get back to the video. Now with IW, it's kind of the same thing as BO3. A lot of the wall weapons are viable, and they are decent options. But I think some of the worst wall weapons in this game have to be the little machine pistols. Starting with the Oni, we're just gonna call it the Oni. This thing in the early game, like many of the other weapons I've talked about, is a solid option. It's this little fully automatic pistol, gets 20 rounds in the magazine, and has a decent amount of ammo in reserve. And once you pack a bunch of this thing, it's actually a pretty solid option. The only thing is though, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but when you pack the Oni, it gets this really inconsistent, like side to side, up and down recoil that wasn't there in the unpacked version. I don't know if this was a balancing thing, if they messed something up in development. I have no idea. But if you can get past this, it's a decent wall weapon. But compared to the rest of the wall weapons, it definitely is one of the worst. But I think hands down, the worst wall weapon in IW has to be the Hailstorm. And you're thinking when you buy or get a gun with a name like that, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. And in the early game, this little 3-round burst pistol that looks like a revolver for some reason, doesn't really make any sense. It's an okay weapon, especially if you're good at getting headshots. But once you pack a bunch this thing, yeah, it does have better recoil than the Oni, but if you're not getting headshots, this weapon really isn't that great. Moving on over to World War II, the wall weapons in this game are kind of like BO2. You have some good ones, obviously you have some bad ones, but a lot of the guns are just average. So starting off with one of my favorite guns to use in this game, but unfortunately it's not very good, is the machine pistol, which I just think is a hilarious name because yes, it's a machine pistol, but I mean, it doesn't have an actual name? I don't know. Whatever. But the machine pistol has a 10-round mag, decent amount of ammo in reserve, thank God, because you just burn through this ammo, and unpack-a-punched, it's an okay weapon. I mean, for the price that you pay for this thing, the weapon's not half that bad, but compared to the rest of them, it is not great. But once you pack-a-punch this thing, it gets a crap load of ammo in reserve, it gets a 20-round magazine, and it's a pretty usable option. Now, would I use this for a high round or late game strategy? Probably not really. I'd grab something else off the wall. But I think the biggest drawback to this weapon is just the magazine size. If it was a little bit bigger, it would probably be a much better weapon. But hands down, I think the worst wall weapon in this game has to be the M30 Luftwaffe Drilling. Luftwaffe. I don't even know. It's a double barrel shotgun. I don't know why they didn't just call it that. This thing in the early game is a usable weapon, yes. But I don't think I've ever used a slower handling and reloading shotgun in zombies. The Olympia probably compares, but this thing is just so slow and the damage starts to fall off past round 5. You really don't get a lot of points with this thing, and it is easily the worst wall weapon in this game. Now, when you pack-a-punch it, the damage definitely increases, and it becomes more usable, but at minimum you need speed cola, and for some reason, the double barrel shotgun pack-a-punched gets 3 rounds fully loaded. Instead of 2 or 4, they said, no, we're going in between with 3. I don't understand that. But also with the pack-a-punch, it doesn't get a little bit quicker reload like in Treyarch games. I don't know if this was just a World War II thing. I have no idea. But definitely the worst wall weapon in World War II zombies. Now for Black Ops 4, kind of the same thing as BO3. A lot of the wall weapons are pretty good. There are some exceptions here and there, kind of depending on your play style, but one of the more unpopular wall guns in Black Ops 4 is the SOG 9mm. Now for 750 points, you really can't expect much, and for the early game, this is not a bad weapon. Decent rate of fire, okay damage, recoil is a little especially because you really want headshots in this game, but once you pack a bunch of this thing, it's really not that bad. But if you can afford to spend 500 to 700 points more, you can get a much better SMG or AR off the wall. Not really worth your time using this thing. And that's the same thing for the MOG 12. Now, I know the MOG 12 used to be this great weapon that everybody used in the early days of BO4, but after the nerf, this thing really fell off. Unpack-a-punch before round 10, it is already a 2-hit at not even like far distances, like close to medium distances. And when you pack-a-punch it, it's an alright weapon, but you'll still get those 2 hits on those medium to close range shots. But hands down, the worst weapon in Black Ops 4 is the Essex Model 07. And if you've ever used this thing, you already know what I'm talking about. Now, this thing is great for about the first 4 rounds. It's a headshot machine. It rechambers incredibly quickly and has this crazy high rate of fire. But after round 4 or 5, it already becomes a 2-hit, and there are much better weapons you can either A, buy off the wall at the beginning of the game, or B, just spawn in with, aka the Strife, RK7, and yeah, you get the idea. But once you pack-a-punch this thing, at round 8, it is a 2-hit to the body. Yeah, it gets a bunch of ammo, becomes incredibly fast, has this crazy rate of fire, but this thing is just not worth using and is sure as hell not worth pack-a-punching. Now, just like in the best wall weapons video, this is the point in COD Zombies where all of the wall weapons become good, if not great, weapons. So when it comes to Cold War Zombies, it kind of just depends on which weapon you want to use more, depending off your playstyle, your comfortability, and what you're okay with using. But I think one of the lesser or worse guns in Black Ops Cold War is the Diamatti. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's just what we're going to call it. This little 3-round burst pistol, unpack-a-punched with a low rarity, it's an okay weapon, especially in the early game, but there are definitely other wall weapons you could purchase instead of this. But once you pack-a-punch this thing becomes super crisp, super clean, and all around a pretty decent weapon, especially for being a pistol. But I think the worst weapon in Black Ops Cold War Zombies is the 1911. This thing unpack-a-punched, I think it does a little bit more damage than the Diamatti, but it's not much better. Also, it's a single shot. Yeah, it has a ton of ammo in reserve, just like all the other wall weapons in this game, so it's nothing special. But once you pack-a-punch this thing, I mean, yeah, it does more damage, but it really is not that great. And it's the same thing in Vanguard Zombies. All the wall weapons are usable options. But definitely one of the worst options for wall buys in this game is the G43. While not a bad weapon in the low rounds, by round 10 it takes almost a full magazine to kill a zombie. And once you pack-a-punch it, yeah, it becomes better, but you still end up burning a lot of ammo, and there are literally so many better options for wall buys on this map. But hands down, the worst wall weapon on Vanguard is the SVT-40. This thing has a really crap fire rate, it has crazy recoil and does not do a lot of damage and starts to fall off by I think round 5. And once you pack-a-punch this thing, it becomes better, especially for headshots, but still to the body, it's still a 2-shot before round 10. With these newer games, either just start with the weapon you want to use or just buy a pack-a-punch weapon off the wall in Vanguard Zombies. Now for the final game of the video, once again, Black Ops 6 has a ton of great wall buy options, but I think one of the less popular options has to be the SVD. This thing's an alright semi-auto sniper, especially depending on what weapon kit you're using. It's good for getting headshots, but it doesn't carry that much ammo and it has a pretty slow rate of fire. But the reason I have this on this list is because honestly, I think it kind of gets worse once you pack-a-punch it. Because once you pack-a-punch it, it turns into this sniper shotgun. It has this crazy hip fire, but the damage range falls off dramatically. And if you're trying to go for critical kills or use this thing like a sniper, pack-a-punching it is kind of useless. Another not so great wall buy on BO6 has to be the Asval. Now this weapon is okay, but unpack-a-punched, it's really nothing special, and there's much better weapons and much better ARs you can purchase off the wall. But once you pack-a-punch this thing, it becomes pretty usable. But I think the worst wall buy in Black Ops 6 Zombies has to be the Marine SP. This shotgun is not very good, and by round 6, as you can see, it's already a 2-hit to the body. And once you pack-a-punch this thing, it really doesn't get that much better. If you're looking for a shotgun wall buy, the ASG is a much better option, and I believe for almost the same price. This thing is just incredibly underwhelming. Either bring a shotgun, buy the ASG, or just use something different. But that's all for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you guys have any other video ideas you guys are interested in seeing, please let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.